off camera, I modified my Megasquirt. This is the original old school Megasquirt that you soldered up yourself right at the turn of the century. Literally, it's been about that long. I've had this thing for 14, 16 years, something like that. The original plan was to run Megasquirt 1 and a Turbo 400 trans in the car, but as I watched Matt Happel, I started seeing the benefits of having a 4L80E and a lockup converter and overdrive. All those things sounded nice, maybe get 20 miles a gallon. And the only way I could see to do that is to upgrade to Megasquirt 2, which is just pull out a chip and replace it with a daughter card. So I did that. I soldered in the 12 volt, what do you call it, jumper wire. So there's a few other modifications that I had to make. Some of the outputs for MS2 are on different pins, so I made those modifications on the board. There's more to do. I'm not finished, but I think I have enough that I could try to test run this thing today. Spoiler alert, I actually tried already and got it to fire, but not without mistakes. These coil packs are the ones that came with the motor. I tried running a few things with the Megasquirt in test mode, and then I tried to crank it over and start it, and these coils blew. This connector just popped right off, and you see some of the plastic gone away there. Oh, let's see, this one, yeah. The plastic kind of cracked there too. Not sure where else to show you, but those are just a couple of the indicators that the coils were actually bad. And my problem was that I took a tune. I copied a tune off of the Sloppy Wiki tune cabinet page, and it was from Shannon Taylor's Fairmont with a 4L80E. Actually, no, I don't know what trans he had, but he had a Microsquirt running his engine, and I figured MS2, the daughter board, and the Microsquirt share the same processor, so maybe it'll just work. I copied everything from his tune manually because I don't know how to do it any better yet. When I tried to fire this thing and I started cranking it over, I saw two big blue bright sparks on two plugs at the same time, and then nothing. And then I started popping fuses for the coils, and so I realized I burned them out. Alright, sorry I don't have screen capture, but let's look at some technical nerd stuff a minute. This Megasquirt computer is what was running that motor, and I did that second start to do a data log. So for Megasquirt, you can download Tuner Studio and Megalog Viewer both for free. There's free versions. You can pay more to get more features, but this is what I have. The free version allows you to play back what happened in your data log. You can click through and look at what values were happening. So looks like right here I hit a peak RPM of 2600 RPM basically right as soon as it started. And if you look over here, you can watch the trace move along through. This is the VE table, this is the target air-fuel ratio table. This one, nothing's really happening. I don't have an O2 sensor yet, but this is what it was using to calculate how much fuel to squirt in the motor. So if I play it, looks like I'm idling right in that little area. Couple of throttle blips. You can also play and watch it progress through the graph. And all the values on these gauges down below move too. It looks like I'm fumbling through this. I am, because I've never really used it all before. But you can see a lot of the variables that are data logged here. So this stuff is all good if you're going back and trying to figure out what went wrong with the tune or what you can improve on. Now I'll go back to Tuner Studio. This is where I made my first mistake that blew up my coils. I believe it was right here. Nope, I got it wrong. Here's how I blew up my coils. I took a tune for a Megasquirt off the Sloppy Mechanics website and just copied it. I didn't take my time and look up what the differences were. I figured Megasquirt uses the same ECU, but this option here I had to flip around backwards for what I had built inside my MS1 case here. And as a result, just like it says in the help here, everything has to be correct or you can blow up your ignition coils. Pardon me, here we go. This setting is critical. You'll melt your ignition coils. So, pay attention to that. Megasquirt lets you set and change your, like this whole bar here. You can change whatever RPM you want, whatever kPa you want. So the 500 between cells isn't necessarily something you have to stick to. You can make up your own. But this is what I copied from the Shannon Taylor Fairmont. So it lets you view it this way. This is ignition advance. This is volumetric efficiency. This is for how much fuel you'll be spraying in at each load and RPM. These are your target air-fuel ratios, which will come in handy later when I have an oxygen sensor. And then you can view all of those as a 3D table. And I believe while you're driving you can go in and modify these. Like, I believe I can just hit shift up. Yeah, you can add fuel on the fly while the engine's running doing this. Here's the target air fuels. You can turn the graph around however you need to look at it. Same deal for ignition. So this is kind of your idle area. This is your cruise. This is probably just decelerating, high RPM, high vacuum. And here's low RPM, high load, all the way up to high RPM, high load. Alright, I know not everybody wants to nerd out with this stuff like I was doing, but I'm pretty impressed with all of it. This is the test mode section. This is where I was testing out my ignition coils. I've got coil A, B, C, D, only 4 coils running wasted spark. While we're talking about the MS box, So this is a really old stimulator. I don't think they make them like this anymore. All the newer ones have a lot more functions, but I'm still able to power mine up with this. And this is a really old Megasquirt board. Version 2.2 from 2002. So this processor is the upgrade that I did. That's the MS2. MS1 is just a big flat chip. So there's a lot more stuff going on here. It's got a lot more functionality. All these jumper wires on my LEDs are like Spark ABC or ABC. I don't remember which one's what. And those run to Spark outputs. And then I've got one more that I added to the bottom. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a transistor sitting right there. And I just kind of made that fit where I could and run that out to some outputs. I also have a modification on my ignition trigger. It basically just runs the opto isolator backward. I don't think I needed to do that, but that's a modification I did for MS1, and so I just left it here. These resistors were added for the Spark ABC output. So, things I still intend to do. Those are my two injector drivers. I need to add a DB9 connector up here to get some more pins because this 37 pin connector is out of pins. So I'll add a connector there, and then up here somewhere I want to add another transistor or FET that looks somewhat like this and put it right there. That'll handle higher current, and I'll run my boost control solenoid with that. I grabbed the pieces I needed and just kind of taped them to a piece of paper and labeled what they're going to be. So I need to do some more mods here and then get the engine and transmission put in the car and start playing. I've only got 2 injection drivers driving 4 injectors at a time. I was able to set those to pulse and listen to them clicking over and find out they were good. You can turn your fuel pump on and off. Then there's another test mode that lets you mess with all of these different things, whatever they are. I didn't get into that yet. I just did what I needed to think I was ready to start my motor, and it fired right up. Okay, back to some engine sounds. So it turns out there's a setting that has to be reversed between Megasquirt and MS2 when you're using the cheap transistor method to fire the coils. This is getting really boring, right? Anyway, I went to the junkyard and got another set of coils that are a little bit muddier, but these work. I put them in test mode and I saw spark, spark, spark. So things were looking good. I sprayed in some starting fluid and it fired and popped and smoked a little bit. I haven't started it yet, but if I hook up a fuel pump, we might be able to do it today. Check out the soldering skills. I kind of fried the wire, but should be good. That's good news. Fuel pump turned on. Got a fire extinguisher there, another one there. Got to route this to a different spot and put it in some fuel and get back with you. freedom. Man, that is so awesome that I finally got the Megasquirt to control an engine and start it. I've been working on that thing since '06 or somewhere around there. And this is the first time I've got an engine started and running on it. But it ran horribly rich. I disconnected the fuel pump. I think I'm just gonna start it and let it run lean until it runs out. That should get rid of some pressure in the fuel line too, and then I can empty everything out and quit for the day. I don't know how long it takes to run out of fuel pressure, but screw it, good enough.